खिलाफत के अमी हम हैं, अमानत हम संभालेंगे, जो नेमत छिन।
Auzubillahiminashaitanirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. As you know, it's going to be Khilafat the day, and we've been asked to say a few words on our relationship with Huzur and 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 Khilafat. I've been fortunate that I've had many experiences with Hazur personally. I've met him a number of times, and there are a few stories that come to mind, and I'll try and pick out just a couple of them just to give an example of the impact Hazur has had on me personally. So about just over 10 years ago, I went on an IAAA trip to Congo, and this was the first time we were going to do a trip to the Congo. And at that stage, there was still a pretty violent civil war happening on kind of the eastern side of it. And when we told Azur that we were going to go there, we met Azur, and there was a group of about 8 of us, and only from the 8, only 2 of us were actually going. And Hazur obviously gave us instructions about the areas to stay away from, uh, and something I remember Hazur did very clearly. He looked at me and the person I was going with. He looked directly at us, and he said very clearly to us, "Inshallah, you will come back victorious." Which at that time I didn't really realize what he meant, and he actually went on to say that it is going to be a very challenging and difficult trip, and actually because of the situation that we were going to that was happening in the country at the time, we were instructed by Azur to send daily text back uh, to to the UK, so they could update Hazur daily on exactly where we were, what we were doing, if we were safe, and any issues or any problems that had at the time. So obviously, being Hazur, as busy as he is, he still wanted to make sure that we were giving him a daily update, which was really comforting at the time. And then when we got to Congo, it was literally the day we walked into the airport when we landed. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong. And on top of that, we had the authorities on our case who thought we were up to no good. They were hounding us. They were corrupt. They wanted money. Everything we had to do, we had to pay our way to do it. Every police checkpoint, we had to give a little bit of money. Our car broke down. It got stuck. The equipment didn't work. This happened, that happened. Whatever could go wrong went wrong. And I remember there were some nights where you're literally in the jungle, you're out there on your own, away from your family, away from your comfort, things that that you understand, a place where it speaks French, and I don't speak a word of French, apart from what I remember from year 9 school, which is pretty little. And it was, there were days and nights when I was there, and I remember kind of looking up to the heavens and thinking, God, please help us. I was sitting there thinking, what am I doing here? I don't even know what's going on. Everything we try and plan, something goes wrong. One day we had to take internal flights there, and one day I remember our whole day just got wasted because we had to wait at an airport, some dodgy little airport, for 8 hours just because they decided the flight was going to be late, and they wouldn't tell us by how much, because they didn't know themselves, and we just had to sit there and wasted the whole day, 8 hours just waiting there for an airport that was going to come at some stage. And it was just crazy. It was mental, and I said there's so many times, and I would look up to the heavens and just think, God, please help us, please. And it was actually Amir Sab in Congo that told us that something to bear in mind while we were out there is that there's a great prophecy and a great promise Allah made to the promised Messiah, salam, about how he would spread his message to the corners of the earth. And we were there as part of that we were fulfilling that promise, because we were there installing MTA and the solar powers. Anyway, the whole time we were there, it was just nightmare. Things just went wrong, and I was so glad when we came home. And to be fair, we set out to do 10 installations. one of the systems got lost in transit. We don't know where, somewhere within Congo. We don't know where. And I remember coming back and thinking, "Oh my God, Hazur's gonna gun me about this one system that we just lost. We have no idea where it is. Even to this day, we have no idea where it's gone." And I was fortunate that when I went to Hazur to give my report of the trip to Congo, it was me and the chairman, just the two of us. And I gave the full report, and I told, and I was really nervous about this 10th system. I just thought, oh my Lord, like I was praying that, please, God, I don't know, something, let Hazur just go easy on me about this. And when I told Hazur, he just looked up and he just said, Jolo, it is what it is. Let's see if we can at least find it. If not, get some sort of insurance money on it. And then I told him the rest of the trip. I told him about all the times we were stuck. There was one time at like 12 o'clock at night, our car fell into a ditch, and it took us 2 hours to get it out. There's a guy walking around with a machete all the way around of us. And I asked the missionary that was with us, why is he doing that? Why is he not actually helping us getting the car out? And the missionary said to us, is because he's protecting us from snakes and other animals in the jungles that could come and kind of bite us and jump out at us. Which is, when I realised that, kind of freaked out a little bit. Didn't realise sitting there in 2 hours with all of these animals. And when you think about it, we were literally in the jungle. It is the jungles. But I also remember when I was out there, there was one of the mosques that we were working on, and we were doing the installation. It was literally miles and miles of nothing but savannah and just open fields and just nothingness, and it really does bring home to you how far Ahmadiyya has spread. But I said, yeah, when I came back to Hazur and I told him all of these stories and everything like that, I remember at that stage, Hazur looked up from his, as you know, Hazur has kind of lots of piece of paper, and he's working and talking at the same time. He looked up at me and he just said, do you remember what I said to you before you left? And I said, gee, Hazur, I do. And then that was it. That was that. And obviously he was referring to the part where he said, it will be hard, it will be challenging, but you will come back unvictorious. Which obviously I thought, and at the time I thought when he said victorious, it meant kind of we will have achieved the best that we could have done. Yes, I know we did 9 instead of 10, but it is what it is, and that's kind of what I took from it. Flash forward a whole 10 years, when I was on another IAAA trip for Water for Life, and we'd done a whole day's work in the field. It was 35, 40 degree heat, absolutely knackered. We came back about 9 o'clock. We had a shower, we had some food, and the missionary I was sitting with, he had a balcony area. So we sat out there because there was a nice little breeze. I'm going to kind of cool us down. We were having a cup of tea and we were just talking. I told him about the story about Congo and all the problems we had and everything and all that kind of stuff. And I told him what Hazur said to me as well. And at that stage, I remember he put his hand on my shoulder and he stopped me and he said, did Hazur ever use the word victorious for any other trips I've been on? Now, I've been on a few trips. I've been on about 6 or 7 trips. And I had thought long and hard at the time, thought, no, actually he hadn't. He's talked about being successful, about making sure we achieve what we've set out to do, whether it's 10 installations or 10 pumps or whatever it was. Hazur talked about ensuring we did what we set out to do and all that kind of stuff. But when I think about it, I never heard the word victorious from Hazur before that or since. And it was at that time the missionary had said to me, Hazur was talking about my personal jihad and how the challenges and the obstacles, God was not trying to break me, but he was trying to build me up and he was trying to get me stronger and have that faith and trust in him that, yes, you know what, we had unbelievable issues out there, but still, somehow or another, with the power of God, with God's help, with the prayers that Hazur told us to read, we got through them and we did 9 installations when, in all honesty, three would have been quite an achievement. And that just shows the power of Hazur and how he sees things that we don't see. And now when I think back actually to my trip to Congo, and I do see it as a turning point for me personally, that level of endurance, perseverity, and just keep going and having that faith in God that whatever happens, whatever trials and tribulations, as long as we keep saying our prayers, we keep doing what's been asked, and we listen to the instructions of Hazur, and that we will succeed one way or the other. And it was just through prayers. And I know Hazur was praying because he said before we left, I will be praying for you. We were giving him our daily text messages, so he knew exactly what we were. He was still worried for us. So I think that's something that I've never let go. And I said, when the missionary told me, to rethink about it, I remember for hours I couldn't let this go. I couldn't let this concept go. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking just how that pivotal moment, those 3-4 weeks I spent there, how that's changed my whole entire life. And Hazur knew that I'll change my life and change my life for the better. Which again gave me that, gave what was an incredible story for me personally, that little bit extra that I didn't realize. And 10 years later now, I'm realizing it now. So, some of these things you might not realize at the time, but in the future, when you think back about it, you just see how amazing these are. The second thing that I want to mention about the connection that people have with Azura and Khilafat is actually from a story from Sierra Leone I had. This was the first trip I went to, and again, it's about 12-13 years ago now, where we did the solar power installations, and we did 10 of them in that Sierra Leone, beautiful country. Jamaat is absolutely amazing. Just loved every minute of it. The Khuddam and Sara there, the Jamaat, they're just absolutely the most friendliest people I've ever met. And I remember that we did the installation, and we had actually a couple of days at the end of it. We had about 4 or 5 days at the end where the Khuddam would then take us out. We were seeing Sierra Leone, we would go to the beach and just having a good time with them. And then on the Friday, so we were leaving on a Monday, I think it was. And on the Friday before, we went to we went to Jummah. And then on the Saturday, the Amir Saab there was having a national missionary meeting. So all the missionaries from the whole country were coming into Freetown, and we had another opportunity to meet the missionaries that we met, and obviously some of the ones that we didn't get a chance to meet as well. So we met the missionaries, we had lunch with them, really nice meeting up with them. And one of the missionaries that we'd actually stayed at his house. We did an installation in his mosque. He was about 40 miles away from Freetown. And he told me that the Friday before their Jummah, he announced that for the first time ever in that mosque, they were going to be showing Hazur's khutbah, Friday sermon, from England live in that mosque. Now, because of the time difference, there was about a 2-hour gap. So after the speech, the missionary went back to his office. He did some work or whatever. He had some guests that came over, and then when he went to meet the guest, he realized in the mosque there was an older man sitting there, and he completely hadn't realized, and he actually felt bad that he hadn't realized the man was sitting there this whole time. So he went and met him, and he was a member of the Jamaat. He's quite an old man, for about 60, 70 years old. And he went and spoke to him, and he asked him what he was doing. He said, "Oh, you said that you're going to be showing Mazur, so I thought I'll just stay here." And obviously, there was still about an hour or so until the speech itself. So the missionary took him inside to his office. They had lunch, they chilled out, they had a bit of a chat, and then when the time for the speech came, they went and watched it. And obviously, I was told that quite a big congregation had come, and they'd had to place the TV in such a way that you had Lajna on one side and there was a curtain, and then the men on the other side. And this old man was sitting on a chair, because obviously being 60, 70, you can't sit on the floor. So during the speech that Azur was giving, every time, as you know, with MTA, it kind of zooms in on Azur, it goes out, shows Battle for Two from the outside, from the inside, etc., etc. Every time Azur came back on the screen, this old man would say, "Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum." Every single time, even if it's going from a zoom out to a zoom in, or the other way around, the guy would say, "Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum." And there were a couple of times when his leg would shake, and he would keep saying under his breath, "Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah," to himself. So after the Friday sermon, everybody kind of dispersed, and the missionary went to this old man, and he asked him, "Is everything okay? You seem to get quite emotional there." And the man turned to the missionary and said, I am however much years old now. I don't have long left in my life. This is the first time I have seen Hazur live. If Allah was to take me away, I will go away happy. And that really resonated with me. That was just wow. That kind of concept, that kind of feeling, to have that love and affection for Hazur, who he's only seen in a picture, because this at 40, 50 miles for somebody that old to travel down to Freetown, which at that stage was the only place that they could have MTA, was quite challenging. So this old man who'd never met Hazur, never seen him, yet he saw him on TV once and was saying, "That's it, my life is complete." That is just an unbelievable feeling that really hard to articulate. That kind of love that this man must have had for Hazur. And that's something that actually I try and inculcate myself, to say, I need to get to that stage that man's at, because that's just ridiculous. And yet I'm so blessed that I can meet Hazur and be able to give him these reports. I'll be able to talk to him. And yet, you know what? Hazur knows me well enough to know to cuss me, to take the mick out of me, which, is enjoyable. I love it. But also to read Namaz behind Hazur. I know now we're in lockdown and we can't, and we're all struggling to kind of come to terms with and how to adjust our lives to this. And I know a lot of people are talking about just the joy of reading Namaz behind Hazur, and that's something we really can't take for granted. That there are so many people out there, so many millions of people that would love to have the benefit that we have, the blessing that we have to read Namaz behind him, and to kind of see him every day, whether that's on duty or whether that's reading namaz, or whether that's at some big function or whatever. The fact that Hazur comes to our ishtamaz as well, our national ishtamaz, and Hazur directly talks to us about our issues. Those are things that we just really can't take for granted. We really need to take that in and really listen to what Hazur and Khilafat are saying. There's so many blessings behind it. I can't really say to words. And again, these are a couple of my experiences. There are so many more I could tell you about, but I know there's so many people out there who've got their own stories, and it's all about trying to build that link with Khilafat, build that bond out there. I said those are just a few words and thoughts I had. I hope everybody's well. Please, as Hazur said, pray for everybody going through COVID-19 and everything like that. Let's, inshallah, come out the other side of it in the best possible way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.